take me. Yeah, we back. What's up, everybody? Back again. And we're closing out training camp. And, you know, some people was making fun of Keith Thurman's training. You know, hey, whatever you see is fair game. You express yourself how you want to. But we're going to talk about, if the fight is, it's going to be a close fight, like I said. So if I can argue for one, I can argue for the other. So this argument is for, what does Manny Pacquiao have to do to win this fight against Keith Thurman? Now, as we all know, or some of y'all, because a lot of y'all be hating on Keith Thurman is an intellectual fighter. He's not somebody that's going to go in there just throwing reckless, right? So if we're going to compare mentality-wise Keith Thurman to another boxer, or the closest boxer that we can to a fighter that Manny's fought, would be Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying Keith Thurman is Floyd Mayweather. I'm saying close as in the way they approach the fight game. You know, Keith Thurman, people used to say, oh, all Floyd does is run. And what, you know, and then what they say about Keith Thurman? Oh, he's run time Thurman. Keith run time, not one time, run time. All he does is run. So, you see what I'm saying? A defensive mindset. Keith Thurman goes into the fight not wanting to get hurt or not wanting to get hit. That is the main focus when Keith Thurman enters the ring, right? Right. So, Keith Thurman is a defensive fighter. And he has punching power, but mostly he's a B-level defensive fighter. Needs to sharpen up, needs to have his hands held higher when he's in guard, but we'll talk about that. Now, like I just said, Keith Thurman does not put his hands up in the high guard very often. Only time he does that is when he's coming forward and he's about mid-range. All right? So, when Keith Thurman decides to take shots, which when he does throw, he throws wide as hell because he wants a lot of power. And this is where Manny Pacquiao needs to have a lot of success with the timing. I think Pacquiao needs to become a counterpuncher in this fight because Keith Thurman throws very wide shots. Now, for him to stop throwing wide shots, you need to throw short, powerful burst shots, and that's what Pacquiao does naturally. Like he said, he has T-Rex arms. Okay, that's fine. Use those T-Rex arms to your advantage. You have a shorter distance between the end of you, where your arm ends and where his face begins, and where you got to shoot out, right? Because the shorter arm, it doesn't have to go as far. So you have the timing to your advantage. Pacquiao should have timing to his advantage if he uses it and decides to do that instead of just coming forward trying to like he does some fights, which that's not going to work this fight because all Keith Thurman's going to do is take one shot, step back, and turn. Pacquiao needs to use his footwork, use his angles, and get on the inside. Do not throw shots from the outside. Do not try to box Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is an excellent boxer. Don't try to do that. Number 2, Manny Pacquiao will have to use those big-ass calves he has to stay on his toes, to stay active and moving, because Keith Thurman does not like movement. And we saw this versus Danny Garcia. In the beginning couple rounds where Danny Garcia started moving his head, started moving his body around when Keith Thurman started throwing, and Keith Thurman was having a very hard time trying to find him. Tell me I'm lying. I'm not. So another thing is Keith Thurman does not like movement. And the last thing I might have to, this is probably it. But what else he has to do is what he's already been doing. Continue training on stamina. Now, we all know when he fought Sean Porter, that him being Keith Thurman, that even though he was in the later rounds, Sean Porter was more aggressive, Sean Porter exerted more energy, and Sean Porter still had more stamina at the end of the fight than Keith Thurman, because at the end of the last 2 rounds, I think it was, or 3 rounds, all Keith Thurman was doing was trying to stay away, get the points, and recover from the fight he just had, and just breathing hard. All right? So, Keith Thurman, stamina, is sometimes questionable, especially off after a 2-year layoff when you only fought one fight. We'll see if your stamina is up to par, because Pacquiao is definitely going to be coming all 12 rounds. Keith Thurman, get ready. Manny Pacquiao, be safe. And JTT, go!